Monica with Klein Knits, and today I am going to be showing you a concept called stranded crochet. I just call it that because I'm also a knitter and I do a lot of stranded knitting, and it's just, there are some things that are very similar, so that's just why I dubbed it that. There might honestly be a technical name for it and I just have no idea, but I just wanted to share this approach because I think it is pretty useful, and there isn't a lot of material out there video wise for this technique. Now I will say that this technique is only good if you do not want to achieve a mirror image on the wrong side of your work. If you want to make sure that your images are the same on both the right side and the wrong side of your work, maybe you're working up like a dish towel or something like that and you need them to be the same, then what you would do is you would basically carry through your contrasting color yarn and your main color yarn throughout the whole row of your project. That's what you do. And it's always close by and it's great and it achieves that mirror image. Now, I've been doing that for such a long time and I have found some issues with it. First of all, I shouldn't have cared what the back of my work looked like because a lot of these kinds of projects that I take on are pillows where the backside does not matter. But I was always like, oh, so frustrated when the backside didn't look good. It didn't make sense. Not looking back, that was just irrational. And another thing is, like, for example, a project like this, if I were to bring through the black throughout and it's a big gap of white, you know, sometimes this black is just going to bleed through a little bit, kind of just creating it's not as clean as you would like. So that's why I've kind of abandoned the method where you carry through and achieve a mirror image. There is a lot of content out there if that's what you're looking for. But I really like this approach because you'll see that I don't see any like black bleeding through. The letters are pretty crisp. And this is the big one for me. You don't have to weave in as many ends. I hate weaving in ends more than anything. I've actually finished projects and then just let them sit in my whip pile for literally months because there's just a few ends that I have to weave and I don't want to. So confession. So this is really great if you are lazy like me and you don't want to weave in as many ends, but you still want to achieve a product that looks very clean. Okay. I use GoodNotes for tracking my progress, and it has been really, really awesome. But if you prefer to print out your piece of paper, that's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and show you how I track my work. All right, so this is called GoodNotes. I am currently using my Mac because there is an application that you can download from the App Store. However, I typically will do this on my iPad with like my Apple Pencil or on my phone if I'm traveling. The nice thing is that since it's on the cloud, it can be on any device and you can pick up right where you left off, so it's wonderful. I will use this for tracking progress of where I am on a color chart, but I honestly will house all of my patterns in here. So any patterns that I download, anything that I need to find quickly, I can because it's all on my library. So I really like it. I'll download my patterns from Etsy or whatever, and then I'll upload them, and then I can just mark them up. So as I'm working on this, it's really nice because you can zoom in so you can be sure that you're counting correctly. You'll see that I have, for the purposes of demonstration, let's say that I am on row, sorry for the lag, let's say I am on row 20, I'm going to start row 23. Now, the reason I know that I'm on row 23 is because I worked I'm working my odd numbered rows in red and I'm marking my even numbered rows in pink. So this means that I've already completed 21 and 22 and I'm about to do 23. The reason I do this is because even though you'll see a bunch of numbers, there's no need to, strike it through as you go, because you'll kind of be able to alternate colors and know exactly where you are. At least that's a method that works for me. This tool is really awesome. So if you want to use, like, let's say a highlighter, kind of zoom in, and when you finish a row, you know, color it, you can do that too. So tool is really cool. But for what I like to do, I just use the pen tool, and it really gives me an idea of where I am. So I'm going to do 23. It's telling me to go this way. So it's going to be 6 white, 2 black. Then we've got 6 white again. Sorry, my handwriting is not good on this trackpad. Then I've got 5, 6, 8 black. Then I've got 5, 8, 10 white. 3 black. So the reason I can count this pretty quickly is just because if you look closely, there are these gray lines, and then there's also these black lines. So the gray lines signify every 5 stitches, the black lines signify every 10. So if I see a chunk that's just all, you know, it meets up to this gray line, that's definitely 5, and I can just add the 3 stragglers and know that that's 8. If I see something that's completely, let's say up to here, like this is all white, then I know this is 10 white stitches, 20 white stitches, 25 white stitches, 28 white stitches. So that's how I kind of add this up. So I'm going to keep going through. So 10, 3, I know this is 5, 10, 11 white, 2, 2, 2. Oof. And what's really nice is you can erase, so like that's just wonderful. And 10. Okay, so this is typically how I would keep track of my pattern, and this is the tool that I use, and I highly recommend it. It is a little bit pricier, but definitely worth the investment. I think it's like $10, but then you unlock the app literally on all of your devices, and you have a cloud library that you can access at any time. Okay, so now that you see how I track my progress, I'm going to actually show you a couple of rows and how to implement this stranded crochet technique. So I am currently working on the right side of the work. This means that this is the side that I want to show off to the world, and this is the side that should look as clean as possible. So the first thing I have to do is crochet 10 white stitches for this row. I am at 7, so I'm going to keep going. 8, 9, right, coming up to the last one, 10. I am not going to complete the wraparound and pull through with the white yarn. I am going to complete the wraparound and pull through with the black yarn. So I'm just going to drop that white yarn aside, pull up my black yarn that's close by, and complete the stitch. Now, what I've successfully done there is I've finished the 10th stitch so that it looks white, but now I am ready to move on to my black stitches, and the pattern calls for 2 blacks. So 1, 2. Okay, so now I'm ready to switch back to my white. What I have to do is, since I'm working on the right side of the work, I always want to make sure that my yarn is in the back. That means that these strands that we're kind of pulling all the way along the work, we want to make sure that they're always in the back. So if you're working on the right side of the work, make sure the strands are in the back, okay? Now what I'm going to do is, since I have to pick up and finish this stitch with the white color transfer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this white guy over, and I'm going to kind of pinch it. I'm going to kind of pinch it down and hold it in place and complete that wraparound. Then I always like to do just one more to secure it before I tug on both of these colors so that it's secure and not going anywhere. So tug on the black a little bit. Great. So it's calling for 2 whites. Switch back on over to my black. So I'm going to, same kind of idea, I'm going to use, I kind of like to use my pointer finger and my middle finger to hold it while I bring over zigzag over the black yarn so that it's ready for me. Again, I'm going to pinch it down, complete the color transfer, work one, and pull on that. Secure it, okay? Again, it's 2. So I'm gonna pull it over, bring over the white, complete the color, and be ready to work with my white. So now I'm going to work 12 with my white. Okay, here's my 12th one. Again, same exact idea. Going to pull it on to the, keep it in the back and pull it in between my fingers. And I'm gonna find my black yarn. And it's the same concept, even though this is a wider gap. So since it is a wider gap, I wanna give myself some more slack. Because if I were to, let's say, oh gosh, I'm gonna pull it over, what happens is that the work starts to scrunch up and that's not gonna look good. So you always wanna give it enough room to always lay flat. So I like to overestimate, so I'm just gonna pull it over like normal, but I'm going to give it extra slack. So I'm kind of gonna come out all the way up to here, maybe right there. Gonna pinch it down so it doesn't go anywhere. Work the next stitch. And now I have enough slack where it's still laying flat, and I'm just gonna pull on that white so that it's secure. And I'm gonna keep going. So it's calling for 4 here, so 2. And switch again. Now, the larger the gap, the more slack you want to give yourself. That's just because, like what I said, if not, it will definitely scrunch up and it'll be hard to stretch out your pillow when you're ready to move it over. But if you notice here, from here to here is a pretty big gap. I think it was an expanse of like 20 stitches, maybe a little more. But it's fine. I still was able to do that same exact technique, gave myself some more slack so that it didn't cause a problem, and I can keep going. So honestly, the amount of stitches that you need to skip over, it doesn't really matter as long as you give yourself enough slack where it doesn't like scrunch up. Okay, so now I'm working 8. Coming up to my 8th, about to switch, again, pull it over, gonna bring over the black, pinch it down, complete the color transfer, do 1 extra one, kind of tighten it. And now it's calling for 8 black stitches. Okay. Bring over the white, give myself a little more slack, complete the transfer, crochet 1 extra, and I'm gonna pull to secure it in place. And now I'm gonna go 6, so 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay, pull it over, complete the transfer with the new color, crochet 1, pull a little bit on the other color, and last 2 blacks, and then the rest is going to be white. And there's a row done. Okay, cool. So now this row is officially good to go. I am going to flip over my work and I'm going to show you the wrong side. Okay, so I'm about to do the wrong side of the panel, and what I like to do before I flip is take my two working yarns, and just since there's only two, I don't have to, I mean there's a little bit of tangles, but it's really not too bad. I'm going to just untangle these guys so that it's as tangle free as possible. And I'm going to flip on over. So I like to chain one before I flip, so I'm just going to chain one, and now you get to see the back. Okay, so effectively what's going on here is it looks really messy, but let me tell you something, it's actually pretty organized. So you'll see that the effect of, float, this is what I call the float. So in knitting specifically, these strands of yarn are called floats. So it's that same kind of premise where you are basically floating over that color and while you do this color, right? So floats are great because what it allows for is you're always going to have the next color that you need nearby. So it's pretty awesome. The other reason this is super great is because, and this was that long float I was talking about, this is like 20 stitches. The other reason it's really great is because what happens is it starts to zigzag, but it's really nice because you don't have to worry about weaving in these ends later. So it's actually really convenient and just super easy when you're about done to wrap up this project. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do a row of wrong side. So on the right side of the work, remember we always kept it in back, but now on the wrong side, since we always want to keep the floats on the wrong side of the work, that means that our yarn is always going to stay in the front, not in the back when we work the wrong side. So it's a very similar concept, and I'm just going to walk you through this row. So first thing we have to do is crochet 6 of white. Oops, 3, 4, 5, here's 6. Okay. Now, instead of, because now up to this point we've been keeping it in the back, now what we're going to do, like I just mentioned, we're going to keep this in the front. So I'm going to start pinching and holding in the front. And I'm going to grab my black yarn and complete the transfer. It's called for 2 black. Okay, done. Now I'm going to crisscross in front of that white, and I'm ready to kind of pinch it, hold it together, complete the color. We're gonna go 2, I'm sorry, just counting 2, 2, so here's 2 more. 1, 2. Same idea, keep it in front, pull over your black, complete the color transfer. Gonna do 2 more. Same idea, keep it in front, pull over this yarn, complete the color transfer, and 2 more. White, keep it in front, zigzag over the black, pinch it down, complete the color transfer, and we're gonna do 2 with the black. Kind of still like to pull it every so often to make sure everything is secure. All right, this calls for 5 white. Okay, here's my 5th one. Same exact idea. Pull it over, bring over your black, pinch it down, complete the color transfer, and it's just calling for 1 black. Pull over, bring up your white yarn, complete the color transfer. We're gonna go to 8 on the white. So you can see now that I'm coming up against a float, and we're just gonna work over the float. You don't have to worry about don't work under the float like this, because then it'll bleed through. So you're just gonna work over the float like that. You basically just wanna pretend like they don't exist. Okay, bring it over, pinch it down, complete the color transfer, and we're going to go, let's see, on my pattern, 3 black. Bring it over, 13 white. And I don't know if you can tell, but this is pretty fast. Like, I'm slowing down to demonstrate each stitch, but I work a lot faster when I only have 2 skeins to switch between, and I don't have like a ton of bobbins that I have to, untangle along the way. So this really helps me crochet faster and not get bogged down and trying to keep things organized. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 3 more. Okay. Bring it over. Again, since this is a wider gap, I want to make sure I give myself some extra slack. So I'm just gonna loosely hold it there. Complete the transfer. And I'm gonna go for 6. Kind of want to tug down that a little more. Okay, 1, 2. Okay. There's 2. It's calling for 5 black now. Give myself some more of this black. Okay. Bring it over, get the white, complete the color, and finish with 3 white. To chain an extra one, and now I'm just going to untangle as I go, just because it makes life a little easier to take the 2 seconds to untangle. If I'm being honest, I don't do this in between every row, but it's easier when I do. Okay, so I'm done with that. Flip this guy over, and now you can see how it's come across on the right side of the work on the right side. So it's actually making images. So hopefully this has been helpful. Feel free to let me know or reach out to me if you have any questions, and I will try to answer them. Thanks, everyone.